They say every love story ends, but what if one never really did? This is the story of two hearts, broken by betrayal, bound by fate, and the letter that changed everything. The first time Daniel saw Claire, she was standing in the rain outside a courthouse, holding a bouquet of wilted flowers and a wedding dress folded over her arm. He was just walking by, coat-soaked, briefcase in hand, when he noticed the tears she was trying so hard to hide. "Rough day?" he asked, half joking. She let out a small, broken laugh. "You could say that. My wedding was supposed to be an hour ago." Daniel hesitated. "Supposed to be?" She looked up, mascara running down her cheeks. He didn't show. That was how it started. Two strangers, one heartbroken, one kind enough to stop, both standing in the rain, both pretending life hadn't just fallen apart in different ways. Daniel was a structural engineer, quiet, thoughtful, the kind of man who still opened doors and believed in Sunday dinners. Claire was an artist, messy, impulsive, but full of light. Where he saw blueprints and order, she saw color and chaos. Their worlds shouldn't have fit together. But somehow, they did. What began as coffee to cheer her up turned into late-night talks. Late-night talks became weekend drives, laughter, and eventually, love. After 2 years, Daniel proposed. Not with a grand gesture or fancy ring, but on the same courthouse steps where they first met. "Let's rewrite the ending," he said softly, slipping the ring onto her finger. Their wedding was small. Close friends, a few family members, and music playing from an old speaker that kept skipping. But Claire had never smiled so wide. And for a long time, they were happy. Truly happy. They bought a little house by the lake. She painted in the mornings while Daniel left for work, and in the evenings, they'd sit on the porch and talk about everything and nothing. But happiness, as Daniel would later learn, doesn't always last. It started with little things. Missed calls, late nights, Claire saying she was working on a new project, but never showing him what it was. Daniel wanted to believe her. He needed to. But one night, he came home early and found the truth. There was a man in their living room, a man who froze when Daniel walked in. Claire stood behind him, face pale, eyes filled with guilt. "Daniel, it's not what you think," she said. But it was exactly what he thought. He didn't yell, didn't cry. He just walked out into the same kind of rain they'd met under years ago. That night, he drove for hours, aimlessly, till he finally pulled over near the lake. He sat there in the dark, ring still on his finger, wondering when everything had started to fall apart. Claire tried to reach him for days. Texts, calls, voicemails. He ignored them all. Then, one evening, she showed up at his office. Her eyes were red, her hands shaking. "Daniel, please," she whispered. "It was a mistake. It meant nothing." He looked at her for a long time before saying quietly, "If it meant nothing, why did you risk everything?" She didn't have an answer, and he didn't have forgiveness. That night, Daniel filed for divorce. Months passed. He buried himself in work, routine, anything that didn't remind him of her. But grief is funny. It doesn't vanish. It lingers in the small things. The smell of her perfume on his jacket, the mug she always used still sitting on the shelf, the empty side of the bed that always stayed cold. Then one afternoon, his phone rang. It was Claire's mother. Her voice was trembling. "Daniel, I think you should come." Claire had been in a car accident. The other driver had run a red light.
By the time Daniel got to the hospital, it was too late. She was gone. In her bag, the nurses found a sealed letter addressed to him. The envelope read, "For Daniel, if I never get the chance to say this in person." He didn't open it right away. It took him days. When he finally did, the words broke him. "Daniel, I know I destroyed what we had. I wish I could tell you why. Maybe I was scared. Maybe I didn't believe I deserved someone like you. The man you saw that night, it wasn't love. It was a mistake I can't take back. You were my home, Daniel. The only one who ever made me feel safe. If I could live our story again, I'd do it differently. I'd choose you every single time. Please don't let this be our ending. Claire." Daniel sat in silence, the letter trembling in his hands. He realized something then, that love, even when it ends, never really disappears. It just changes shape. He never remarried. He kept the letter in his wallet for the rest of his life, the paper worn soft with time. Every year on their anniversary, he'd drive to the lake, sit on the old bench, and read it again, whispering softly, "This time, I'd choose you too." They say the last marriage is the one that changes you forever, not because it lasts, but because it teaches you what love truly means, even when it's gone. If you felt this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional, realistic stories that touch the heart.